Alright guys, TouchCrab here back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday so far, and the fallout continues from the news that broke a couple of days ago that it looks like Hecz Rodriguez has repurchased his old brand in OGLA from, of course, the Immortals ownership as it stands right now. He is currently a co-CEO over at NRG, owning the Chicago Huntsmen. The implications for the industry at wide, Immortals, Chicago Huntsmen, and of course OpTic Gaming Los Angeles and their CDL spots is very up in the air right now. And today we're going to talk about what it means for this roster, because Austin /Politico yesterday talked about his frustrations with the situation that has gone down over the last month or so. We've heard that supposedly Hecz has been in discussions with buying out OGLA from Immortals and using that intellectual property for whatever reason, and then divesting the CDL spot over to somewhere else. And well, that has completely messed with this roster construction, and we've had a number of rumors as to what could potentially be happening with the OGLA team, and it hasn't worked out exactly as planned for SlasheR. And well, who will they end up with? That is a big question. One of the names, of course, being Donny Temp. That's the guy on screen right now. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like if you enjoy it, subscribe if you are new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for doing that. Let's get into things then. So yesterday, HitcherRiot hosted this Modern Warfare 2 throwback tournament. Really cool as well. Temp ended up winning it alongside SlasheR, Classic, and Happy. So congratulations to them. Hitch had a crazy 1v4. I'll probably put that at the end of the video in, well, the video coming tonight. So stay tuned for that one. But we get this from SlasheR as well with their, well, CWL London holding up the trophy right here with the 100 Thieves merchandise on. We discussed yesterday how Nature doesn't look like the 100 Thieves are going to be in a position to actually buy this spot off, well, Hecz and the OGLA, but well, SlasheR indicating that who knows, that might be the case. So here we go then. Hecz has reacquired OpTic Gaming in a deal separate from his association with NRG. We talked about some of the discussion about the branding and the name side of things. It's very possible that he uses the intellectual property and the branding of OpTic Gaming to somehow rebrand Chicago Huntsmen and then just, well, divests the CDL spot to any other interested parties. And we talked about the potential of who could potentially come into the scene in yesterday's video. But of course, the implications of this are much more widespread than just what we've talked about so far. As Cronut CDL Intel says, this explains why people who were telling me OpTic was in shambles wherever I asked who their fourth was, because SlasheR, Kenny, and TJ looking very likely as the core three from last season, but the fourth was very much up in the air and still is very up in the air right now. They did confirm a while ago that SlasheR, Kenny, and Draza are going to be returning. Draza, of course, on like a substitute contract, pretty easy to extend for the minimum salary or whatever. SlasheR and Kenny they decide to keep. TJ, for some reason, I suppose in continued negotiations, but Modog has definitely hinted a few times, the general manager over there, that TJ will still be on the squad. So it could be a four-man team, SlasheR, Kenny, Draza, and TJ. But I don't believe that, well, SlasheR, Kenny, and TJ want to move with Draza as their starting player. I mean, like, he was very good when he joined them in Modern Warfare, but they're probably looking for someone more proven in a 4v4 boots on the ground environment. And, you know, Draza can be their substitute, and if they need him, they can bring him in again or whatever. But ideally, I think they're going to get like a big name fourth player, which is totally understandable, right? And they were linked to a Priester a while ago. They were linked to a Gunless as well, and this really could explain why some of this drama has gone down. We'll have a look at SlasheR's clip in just a second. He talked about this a couple of days ago as well. Thanks to Greatest for pointing this out to me. And Ahim Don't Miss asks, reveal the team. And he says, if I knew the team, I would tell you. And this is the clip he has to say about, well, his frustrations while he was playing this Modern Warfare 2 tourney.
No clue, bro. I just hope whatever is happening can hurry up so I can, you know, construct the team, because I'm 4 weeks late in Rostermania. Haven't been able to build a team.
Alright, I'm back.
Which is actually just fucking wonderful, bro. A lot of my top picks are gone now because it's 4 weeks late, but you know.
So with all this stuff going on behind the scenes about Hecz's acquisition of OGLA, I'm sure SlasheR and the rest of the guys feel very frustrated with the fact that they haven't been able to solidify contracts, right? Because all this chaos is going on with the actual organization. I mean, SlasheR and Kenny and Draza have re-signed to OpTic Gaming Los Angeles. I imagine whoever buys out that spot gets to, well, keep their contracts, and that's just, they're going to straight transfer over to the new ownership group, and there's going to be no issues with that. The problem is, though, if you don't know really who the ownership group's going to be, and OGLA is being bought by Hecz, but then he's going to sell it on to someone else, then, like, who do they even sign with, right? And the uncertainty there probably means that a number of the different players that may have been in touch with OGLA were like, you know, like, I just need to assign for another team now, because otherwise, if this doesn't go through, it just doesn't work out. Like, do I want to wait a month or whatever? As SlasheR says, they're like 4 weeks behind into Rostermania. I mean, like, you know, if I'm a player like Priester, for example, do I want to wait like 4 weeks to sign with OGLA when there's other offers on the table, right? And of course, he did end up signing with the Minnesota Rocker, and he was linked to OGLA a while ago. And it was strange to me, really, that fell through, right? Like, reuniting some of the older 100 Thieves guys made a lot of sense. That team on paper, SlasheR, TJ, Kenny, SlasheR, TJ, Kenny, and, well, Priester, would have been fantastic, in my opinion. Doesn't work out. He goes to the Minnesota Rocker, as you can see. Priester attached Major Maniac and Accuracy, and the other question mark was around Gunless, right? We discussed a while ago how Seattle Surge, this rumored 4 that did get confirmed, was, well, rumored for a long time. But, you know, the question was there. Did Gunless decide to leave? Like, well, when Priester decided to go to Minnesota Rocker, did SlasheR reach out to Gunless and be like, yeah, look what we did back in Rise Nation, come back and team with TJ Halley, and yeah, that could have been a great team as well, and maybe that was on the table, and it was kind of surprising to me, and Crone talked about it as well, the fact that, like, he feels like something went on with the Seattle Surge that was outside of just the rumor being the rumor the entire time and then it being confirmed. There was something going on behind the scenes that may have been to do with OGLA, right, and Gunless was considering this move. And then all the chaos was happening behind the scenes, and SlasheR was like, well, we can't commit to this, we can't get you signed, because, well, who do we actually sign to right now? The ownership group is changing and the team is in complete chaos. So, well, a really interesting question, right? Because if you're Hecz, of course, this is the perfect time to swoop in, you pick up the intellectual property of OGLA, and then maybe you use the OpTic Gaming branding for whatever you want to do on the content side, and then you just sell off the CDL spots. But it kind of, well, I imagine SlasheR thinks it's kind of screwed over his team opportunities, right? Because if you're going to put together a team with Priester on, a team with Gunless on, immediately I'm looking at SlasheR, Kenny, TJ, and like Gunless, for example, or with Priester, going back to a boots on the ground title 4 versus 4, as like, yeah, a potential top 3 candidate. We've got some great teams already confirmed. As you can see up top, FaZe, Empire, Huntsman, probably top 3 in most people's books. But OGLA with that team could have been right up there in my power rankings. Now that they don't have Priester or Gunless, likely because of this situation that's gone down, who do they get as their 4th? And if they do get Temp, they still could be very competitive, but I'm not so convinced it's going to be a championship contender as if they did have Gunless or Priester that went onto the Rocket and Surge, respectively. So I'm sure SlasheR and the rest of the guys are kind of frustrated, and who knows where this actually ends for SlasheR and the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles squad, and when they can probably start signing new players. And I imagine Temp doesn't really have offers from elsewhere, so maybe he will just stick around to the point where he can sign. But if Temp does get an offer from another team, then yeah, maybe he thinks like, damn, you know, should I just hop there and then at least like solidify my career opportunities? Because well, OGLA seems to be in a pretty difficult spot right now, and who knows, as I say, when it is going to end. ESPN are kind of saying that the deal isn't fully finalized. Some people are saying the deal is fully finalized, and of course the league then has to approve the changes, right? So Hecz bought out the spot, but then they have to approve that acquisition. They also then have to approve the sale to whatever ownership group he sells it to. And well, when that's all sorted out, then I suppose that, well, new guys can potentially start signing for the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles. Who will that be? Who knows? Temp seems like the most likely candidate right now, and you can certainly argue that Hecz swooping in as he has done makes great sense for him. Of course, this is the perfect opportunity to get in if he wants to use that intellectual property, but it's kind of screwed over OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, well, recruitment possibilities. And the fact that they may have lost Priester, they may have lost Gunless due to this issue, honestly kind of puts Chicago Huntsman in a better position, right? Like, you may not have to worry so much about OGLA depending on their 4th if they hadn't got those 2 top targets that have now been swooped up elsewhere. So maybe Hector's making like 5,000 IQ moves here, who really knows? But yeah, these were the results for OGLA throughout the Modern Warfare season. They had a couple of second place finishes, or one of those is in a Warzone weekend. They won second place finish at Florida, and well, apart from that, it wasn't too great. They did make a nice run at the World Championships though, when they finally got to Texas, and well, Kenny was dropping 1.4s and all that kind of stuff. So this is a core 3 I do really like. The 4th has been a question mark. We did talk about the potential of Priester. I really liked that move on paper. It's a shame, to be honest, for me it didn't happen. I would have loved to see that team go to work. And well, SlasheR and Temp have teamed together in the past, back in Advanced Warfare, also at the start of World War II on Team Envy. But that Team Envy squad, which was Hook, Temp, SlasheR and Classic, which should have been God tier, was just honestly nowhere near the pace. So we'll have to see whether SlasheR and Temp can make it work this time around, if it does indeed happen. If they don't go for Temp, which other opportunities are on the table? There are some amateur players, but given you've got Draza there already, like, you kind of feel like if you're going to get an amateur guy, you might as well just choose Draza, who's already sitting there on the bench. You've got the likes of Temp, Asim, Kismet, Slacked, Classic. You know, these are some of the big names that I talked about yesterday in the free agents video as to who could potentially get picked up. Of course, Frosty I had ringed. He's now gone to Halo, as we will talk about later today, and well, some European players as well. Some big names possibly there. I think GodRx was also in the replies to SlasheR's initial tweet saying, you know, maybe we get something going. And I just thought I'd finish off with this funny clip of public match S&D players being absolutely next level. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it or learned something new, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the channel and helps the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy it as well. So thank you for watching as always, and I will see you next time.
this round.